Tom, thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it. First of all, can you just get into your business, what Paws Presto is, and then we'll kick off and introduce how we know each other.
Yeah, so my name's Tom. I run a business called Paws Presto. Basically, Paws Presto is a business that solves problems for dogs. So essentially a range of accessories and other items that help dogs and their owners during the journey of owning a pet. So that could be drying them, seeing them in the dark, keeping them cool in the summer, cleaning them, a whole host of things that's dog related.
It's class business, isn't it? And the reason we know each other is we actually started our business at the same time, didn't we?
Roughly, yeah. Yeah, so as soon as we started, pretty much, we went on to a local program called Y Accelerator, and obviously you were on that as well. That's where we met in the very fledgling stages of each of our businesses.
When did you launch Paws Presto?
Well, I was earlier than you guys in the sense that I started selling a cool mat, or as in cooling mats, on Amazon. But I guess on reflection, was it really a business then? Probably not. I'd proven that people wanted this product on Amazon, but in terms of having a customer base and an actual business, did I heck? So I had started before you, but when we all met, I didn't really know anything.
Did you think of it as a business when you started then, or did you just think, I want to do this thing, cool mats, it's just it's just something I want to do, it's an idea I've got, or did you think I want to start this business based on this idea?
So the bigger picture is I actually was involved with another, I guess, a non-profit business at university. I don't know if you guys actually already know this. And I actually worked with the Junk Food Project. The real Junk Food Project. Yeah, I've not discussed that. But basically, I got involved with a non-profit organisation, basically utilising supply chain food waste from Asda and Tesco, and we turned it into chutneys and jams. And it was called Preserving Potential. Yeah. Me and one of my really good mates, still now, started it. And then I guess off the back of that, finished university. We didn't carry it on, which probably should have. That's hindsight. And then I went into the world of work. Always had the idea that I wanted to start my own business off the back of that. And the people that I met at university whose parents had done similar things. And then there was a guy actually that I met at uni again who sold stuff on Amazon. And I ended up getting these 200 cool mats to begin with. Sent like a lot at the time. I think it cost me like 600 quid or something. I can't remember. These cooling mats, which was a whole lot of money. And then stuck them on Amazon that summer. We had a bit of a heat wave, and I just sold them in a week. And I thought, oh bloody hell! But I think I always wanted to start a business. Did I think that was going to necessarily be the business? But did I think it was going to be Paws Presto? I don't think I did. I think I was initially just trying to make some additional money alongside work, and then from there it's kind of a long journey to where it is now. But it's ended up becoming Paws Presto.
Have you got any entrepreneurial family or anything? Because I had that like natural thing to start a business, but I didn't have anyone in my family. Did you?
No, and I guess I've thought about this because I saw, you mentioned that you're going to ask me this. There's a few things that I've thought of about, have I got any entrepreneurial family? No, I haven't, but few things that I guess in my teenage years, my dad was, before my mum and dad separated, now I don't have a very good relationship with my dad now, but before they did separate, my dad was really into personal development and reading, books on, mindset, all sorts of stuff like that. And I guess subconsciously, I probably picked up some of that from my dad in terms of my interest in reading and developing myself. And then I guess, separation between my mum and dad, wasn't great. And then because of, I guess, the relationship that I've had there, people that I've probably met at university and even ex-girlfriends, parents who actually run successful companies, then led me down the path of thinking, hang on a minute, this is something that I potentially like to do. Being, from the background and where where I'm originally from, I wasn't exposed to people who had big businesses, and that, my grandma always used to tell me, starting a business, it's really risky, basically it's really risky that, it's really dangerous. You could lose all your money. And then I guess going off to uni and meeting people whose parents did these things and were successful, and the lifestyles that these people had, and the opportunities that they'd been presented with, I thought, hang on a minute, well, what's because we've not done it, why the hell can't we do it? Because people are doing it all the time. So I've kind of gone around the houses a little bit, but nobody in my family is entrepreneurial. I think my dad's probably got entrepreneurial tendencies actually, but he never had the balls to actually go out and do anything. And then I think the separation of my parents and me going off to uni and stuff, and the hardship that did actually create, then allowed me to actually think, explore, well, how do I turn this, lack into, like opportunities where I can have things that I've not necessarily got at that time.
Yeah, no, it's spot on. People do say that a lot. People who haven't done it always say like, it's really hard. Oh, it's too risky. Oh, you're not going to get a paycheck every month, and all that sort of stuff, which is true. And it is risky, and you have to forget about a paycheck at least for the first few months, or first year for us, and it's fucking hard. Like, you have got to be mental to start a business.
I think what it is as well is, even if those people don't get it, if they don't understand why you're doing it, or they think it's too risky or whatever, it's important that they support you actually, because not many people who start a business from nothing have got money coming in when they start up. It's a struggle to start off with and stuff like that. So you need that support. But like, I remember in our early days, like, I had people saying to me, like, after 2 or 3 weeks, like, are you losing faith with it yet? It's not, as it started kicking off and stuff like that. And you're like, well, we're only 3 weeks in, or even a couple of months or whatever. And it's like, well, when you don't need that sort of thing around you necessarily, but I don't understand where it comes from people, because it's not like, if everybody did it, then it'd be a lot of, if it was easy, everybody would do it and everybody would know what it's like, but it's not easy. So I think, people like that around you are important, but having the support deep down is like the main thing, I think.
Well, I think one of the things I've discovered, and I'm guessing you boys would agree with me, is what I've realized, all of doing hard things is good. It sounds ridiculous, but all of life's biggest, thrills and achievements actually come from doing hard things. And it's not, and bloody hell, it's supposed to be difficult. If it wasn't easy, like you were saying, everybody would do it. But I think even in the last 6 months, I've realized, like, even with exercise and various other things, it's actually doing hard things and being crap at them. But there's so much, the life's joy, actually, for me, it sounds cheesy, comes from doing the hard things, because ultimately it's those hard things that you reap the dividends from, later down the line. And exactly what you're saying about people that, with people say that, will doubt that. I mean, my dad, going off on another tangent, my dad, I started doing relatively all right with it. I'm making a bit of money from Paws Presto. Then you get those limiting beliefs from people. Then I got, oh yeah, but you could just keep it as a little side business, and it'll be a nice little retirement pot. And I'm like screaming inside, thinking, that's absolute, fuck that. That's not what I'm set out to, not to do. Is that because that's comfortable for you? That's absolutely not what's in my brain as to what this is going to be. But people will put off because it's not something that's comfortable, or they can't do it. And sometimes I do think it comes from love for trying to protect you. they'll place these like limiting beliefs or limiting, things onto your shoulders for you to manage, and it's absolutely not what you need.
Yeah, I absolutely
well aware
agree.
of the negativity.
Yeah, I've had similar stuff. You probably have as well, Paul. Like we were we have been, and we still are very hands-on with like day-to-day stuff in our business. Like we were packing boxes for 2 years, and it ended up being like we spent most of our days doing that before we started hiring people. And I think that's when you start to scale. That's when people's like you said, people's limiting thoughts start to sort of project onto you, because people are like, oh well, once you start hiring people, that's when you start getting problems and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I don't want to be a box packer for the rest of my life. I've not started this to be like a small time, like
Exactly.
mom and pop type thing. So you've either got to do the hard thing and learn how to hire people and learn how to delegate and learn how to build a proper business, or you just stand still and you end up, you might do all right, but your days are spent doing stuff that you don't want to do and doing everything, which is not what you want. So unless you do want that, and then that's fine, but I don't think it's, like you said, it's never what we've set out to do. So when people place that onto you, it's like, well, yeah, it might, there might be problems that arise from hiring people, but there's so many benefits, and there's problems that arise from anything. Like business is about problems, it's about solving problems, and the sooner that you learn that problems are just part and parcel of it, that's when you start to enjoy it, because that's the fabric of like what it's like every day.
Well, there's I don't know if you guys, either of you, there's a guy called Ray Dalio. I don't know if either of you are aware of him. He runs like the biggest hedge fund in the world. He's got a book, and if either of you have not read it, it's called Principles. It's the most amazing book you could ever read. But it talks about like it's like a curve, and everything in life is like I don't know how you describe it, almost like a spiral. So you're gonna set off on your journey. It's like a hero's journey. You're gonna come across some problems. You're potentially gonna fail, or things are gonna go wrong. You're gonna learn from them, and then that's when the growth comes. And I think that exactly what you're saying is that people that aren't involved in business or aren't involved in in things, I shouldn't say being successful, because that's a bit brutal, but in terms of, you've got to understand that everything's progress, and it just depends which part of that progress cycle you're in. And then as long as you can solve those problems, which, like you're saying, hiring is difficult, but there's going to be certain issues that are going to come up. As long as you're still in the game, which he talks about in the book, as long as you don't go bust, which you won't, you learn from that, and then that, as long as you put those, that you create like a system for it, that's your business or your life continues to flourish. And that, and I thought there's so much to be learned in that. But we're like I said, it's often people that can't do it.
Yeah.
That will they don't necessarily realize that.
Some of the worst advice you'll get is from friends and family, absolutely, or because they're worried about you and want you to do, want you to be safe and get your house and get your mortgage and stuff like that, mainly because that's what they did. So yeah, it's definitely important to always take that with a pinch of salt. I didn't really have that. I just got encouragement, to be honest. But yeah, I think you've got to be ready for that as well, and you've got to be able to take criticism on the chin. If you want to start a business and a bit of criticism is going to put you off, you've got absolutely no chance. You're gonna give up after the first week, or if you can't handle failure and stuff like that. You've got to be able to. How do you do that? Did you have criticism at the start?
Well, there's a few. So basically, because I went into sales post university, that's failure every day.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody recently, a good friend of mine, and he we worked at GSK together, and I'm still in contact with him now. But I was going around dentists selling toothpaste for 2 years when I first finished uni.
Yeah.
But what I realize now is, do you know how many times they won't see me, or that they didn't have time, or that I get told basically no. But actually, it's one of the biggest strengths, being able to actually put up with people telling you no, because and I think I often forget that now, because I've been through it and I've done it. It does not bother me one bit. now if somebody, it's just like water off a duck's back. And I think that conditioning just after uni was really good for running a business, because I was just getting first-hand experience at what it's like every day. As you know, not every customer is going to be happy. You know, not every review is going to be perfect. As long as you're doing your best to improve and learning from the feedback, but you know, ultimately, you are absolutely right. Otherwise, you're never going to get anywhere, because you know, as your business gets bigger, the problems come with it. You know, you've just got to be, as you guys know, but you've got to be able to. I mean, half a business is probably, it's all an emotional game. It's all emotion. You know, there are like tactics and, you know, systems and whatever else, but it's all an emotional game. You've got to manage your own emotions to get anywhere with it.
Yeah. On that theme, actually, we were having a conversation recently, because I don't know how you did at school. We can probably go into it in a minute, but I did pretty well, and I like tried my hardest and all that, and I would have been disappointed if I like didn't do well. Whereas Paul had a more relaxed attitude to it and wasn't that bothered, and he had criticism all his way through school from teachers and stuff like that, and never really didn't really take to it. And I think he's better now at taking that criticism than I am, and I'm learning it because I've got to, because I'm at the coalface in business and stuff like that, and every day's, like I said, solving problems and stuff like that. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think I don't know how you did at school, but if you do well, do you think that you're conditioned to sort of take criticism more harshly? I mean, it might be my personality type as well. It might not be all down to that. But what are you like with that?
Well, I was really bright at primary school. Did really well at primary school, and then went to secondary school, and I think I did all right. I did okay. I didn't go to the best secondary school. I mean, some of my mates listen to this. You know, I might get, not very happy about me saying it, but it weren't a very good school in hindsight. And it actually, you know, it wasn't cool to be clever at school. And I talk about this a lot, actually. And I actually so I think I began to disengage. I did all right. I got half decent GCSEs. Could have got a lot better on reflection now. Yeah, but I was conditioned to that learning wasn't cool at secondary school. And then actually come back to uni, because uni was such a big important, the network of people that I met at uni, I actually realised that actually it's actually quite cool to be intelligent, and it actually gets you places and to actually learn things. But actually, whilst I was at school, you know, I used to get sent. I wouldn't say I was a naughty child, but you know, I've always liked acting up and getting sent out. You know, getting sent out of lessons. But I did relatively well. And then I managed to scrape myself into, I wanted to go to uni in Leeds. I managed to do that, you know, which was what I'd always wanted to do. But never, and then it was, I guess, my learning curve and development improved massively when I went to uni and I was around the right sort of people, you know, because you could actually really, people that were, you know, would actually celebrate you doing something well or being good at something, instead of at school, if you were good at anything, you were like kind of like we were kind of like knocked down for it. So you had to kind of like, oh, you know, pretend, you know, not be good at things, or be a class clown.
Yeah, I think what I've learned as I've got older, one of the reasons I didn't do well at school is that I cannot sit in a classroom and listen, and I just haven't got the attention span for it. I think as you get older, you figure out how you learn. And yeah, that was definitely a factor for me, is just getting that criticism and getting punched in the face with bad school grades definitely conditions you for when you get older.
There might be something in that, then, mate. Your theory.
Well, I found out a year or so ago I've got ADHD. You never knew.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page about that, mate. We were talking about this the other week about me. I'm quite similar, and I learn by just doing. I just have to do stuff. Even though I did end up going to uni and did all right at uni and quite enjoyed it, but that was after I'd been to work, experience work life, and then I learned by working. I've learned about business by working in a school uniform business for 2 years, and like supply chain. Really enjoyed it. I thought, I actually like this. I'm going to give it a bash at college and then uni because I had an interest in it. So I don't know if that's the same for you.
Yeah, I mean, are you similar in the sense that if you really like doing something, you get obsessed over learning and doing? I mean, that's one of my things, and it's part of it. Is if it's something I am really interested in. So like sports at school, and then now like businesses. I can't get enough of learning and listening to podcasts and reading, and but it has to be something that I'm really interested in. Otherwise,
exactly.
if I'm not interested, I don't want to know. And I think that was the exact same at school. There were certain lessons that, because I was in like PE, shock, but that I loved it, and I absorbed, and I ended up getting an A star in PE. But because I was actually interested, and I didn't realise until I went and saw somebody about it, and like, oh yeah, you've got this is why. So actually, when I used to have double science in the afternoon, Miss Amara Singh, this lady, she had bloody no chance trying to teach me about vibrations of this and that. Weren't interested, and I got this, afternoon. I struggle in an evening. My concentration just goes straight through the floor after a certain point. So
taking risks and stuff, it's not, and doing what you like in life isn't encouraged at school. Encouraged at school is conformity and having to remember stuff, even though everything's on your phone nowadays. And having to remember stuff to do a test. Starting a business just is not encouraged at any point. It's safety in a job and all that sort of thing, and being forced to do stuff you're not interested in.
Another thing, on school, if you think back to us being at school, is it could be made so much more interesting and exciting for young kids. In the sense, if you think about the education that's out there now on online, and the people going about like that Ray Dalio, you talk about Gary Vaynerchuk, the whole host of people, but if they could actually relate all these different people into, like, I hated maths at school. How important is maths now? So one of my best friends said to me, like, maths is money. At the time, I couldn't give two shits about it, but how important is it? Like, but if it had actually been framed in a way as, the people that, what people that are good at maths can do, what the jobs are, what the careers are, how exciting it could be, instead, and make it applicable, and it would engage people far more than it did, particularly at where I went to school. In my opinion, I might be missing the boat, but it would have done for me. Everybody's different, but it could have been different.
I think if we were like teaching something, like people that have started a business, especially e-commerce, that's what you'd say, wouldn't you? You'd say it's like data driven. If you know what your analytics are and what you put this much money in, these are your percentages and your ratios, and this is what you get out. That'd be so much more applicable to business and interesting. Yeah,
that's maths. But maths isn't. You sit in this class. That is maths. Maths is it. I never thought to say it, but it could have been. I hated maths, but I'm doing it every day now, because if that's how you make money.
Yeah.
You spend less than you bring in, you make money.
Yeah.
But you sit in these classrooms, and I used to do nothing. We used to do absolutely nothing, throw pens at each other. It sounds ridiculous. You did. I weren't engaged, but if they'd have made it more interesting, all of a sudden, and I guess it needs to be different for different people, but they got my attention, and I'd been like, right, all right, like this could be quite useful.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I was bored stiff. I couldn't do it. A turning point for me in terms of figuring out, am I capable of running a business? When I was growing up, I thought if you ran a business, you're like from money, or you've done really well in school. And a turning point for me was, if there's people that look like me, not unfortunate to actually look like me, but in terms of they haven't done great at school, whatever, and they're running Airbnb or they're running Facebook or whatever, and they've started massive businesses. That was like a big turning point for me in terms of learning that, and that you don't have to. People are just normal. Anyone that starts a massive business, they're just normal people. So I think that's something people, if you want to start a business, if someone looks like you,
I think you can think that there's like some kind of secret door that you have to go through, or some kind of boss level before you can start a business. But actually, it's just what we were saying earlier about, if you take action, with exercise, with business, with anything, it's getting out of bed and doing it and taking the action
and learning.
You get anywhere, because
you get feedback and then you learn from it.
Exactly.
And that in everything that we do, and exactly.
Because for us, like, well, it started in Paws, but this was just an idea at one point. It didn't exist. Nobody knew about it. But if it had just stayed as an idea, and we'd not got out of bed one morning and left work and done it, it'd still just be an idea. But
I know, but just imagine how shit you'd feel. What shit you'd be doing now.
It sounds simple though, doesn't it? It sounds simple, but it's not.
Mate, I found it so hard till I eventually work. You know, because I think I've always struggled with not having enough money. Because when you know, like when my mum and dad separated, and you know, we our lifestyle went from, you know, relatively middle class, comfortable home life to all of a sudden, you know, Sky Sports is getting cancelled off telly because my mum can't afford it. You know, all my friends have got cars at 17. You know, they don't necessarily realise how it made me feel at the time. You know, you know, we didn't get any of that. You know, we didn't. And then I guess I forgot what I was talking about.
I'm glad you mentioned you working at the same time you started the business, because in our story we left our full-time jobs and went for it. But there'll be a lot of people listening that are like, well, I can't do that. I need to work. So what did you do, and what do you recommend for anyone that's working but just desperately wants a way out and wants to start a business on the side?
I guess that's where I'll go, and I've gone off on a tangent slightly. But no, I've thought this through as well. Is I started a business whilst working, and in a way, it did. It provided a safety net. It allowed me to test things. It allowed me to understand whether there were a product market fit, which you guys didn't get. Yeah. However, if you look at what you guys did because you quit work, I feel like your, you know, like growth has been far quicker because, and there's like research to back it up, that because you've had to do it. Apparently your brain learns things quicker if you're under pressure because you've got to do it. And and in a way, it was good because I felt comfortable, but the trajectory in terms of how much my business has now grown and is growing soon is because it's what I've got to do, and I'm doing it all the time. And if I don't do it, you know, my house goes. You know, all of a sudden, a bit dark, but you do learn far faster. Do I think that it's a good way to test an idea and prove that it works? Yeah. You know, I had a relatively well-paid job, so it funded it. But then, actually, the fact that I finally decided, you know, fuck it, let's have a go, and quit my job, it made all the difference. And I've seen that with you, you know, you guys. I remember coming to see you both. Bloody hell, I thought, fucking hell, this is going to be hard. This is going to be hard work here. There's hardly any stock. It were a tiny room. You'd hardly made any sales. And I'm thinking, you know, I think we actually, I don't know if you remember, we're scratching around over business ideas. Do you remember?
Well,
because I was thinking, bloody hell, what about selling something else? You know, because I thought it was that bad. And then because you had to learn and you had to do it, I don't know whether there's something else out there that goes, right, shit, you know, we've, you know, let's help these guys because they've actually had a go. But it pays, you know, you're reaping your reward now for the risk that you took then, because most people haven't got the bollocks to do that. And I don't think I did at the time. I thought, how on earth you did it? But you did.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point, because I've always thought of it as coincidence that the point where we started running out of money and bank balance has started to hit zero and we started to go, shit, we actually need a part-time job each year to keep this going. That's the point where things started to pick up. And I've always thought of it as, oh, bloody hell, that were lucky that things kicked in at that point and we started to. No. But actually, it's probably because we went, shit, we need to do something here to turn our fortunes in the right direction, kind of thing. And I think that's when we started doing Facebook, social media advertising and stuff like that. I think that's the point where we went, we need to just put some money into this and just give it a crack, because otherwise within a month we're going to need jobs.
Yeah, but we learned so much in our first 8 months though.
Yeah,
like even when it was going bad, that's when you learn. We just learned a ridiculous amount of just, like I said, getting punched in the face every day, doing balls.
You know, I've just started. I've been playing about since like March, April time, golf. And it sounds ridiculous, but I'm not good at golf yet, but I've got a lot better. But I think about it as in like business all the time. I'll go and play with one of my mates, and I'll do some like horrendous shots. Like I'll hit the floor, I'll go like. But what you realise is, because you've been through it with business, this is all part of it. That you've got to keep failing. The more you fail and the more you learn, it's the exact same thing. You're applying it to another skill. And I'm also with it because it's early on, like you were in your first 8 months. I'm learning so fast all the time. You learn, and I love that. I love it. I get such a thrill out of learning things so quickly, and you're getting better all the time. And that's exactly like where you were in those first 8 months, and me. Is the like trajectory of how quickly you get better is crazy.
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually how you coped with just being on your own, like a one-man team running a business. Because I think for us, when we had them difficulties and them struggles, at least we had like another person to bounce ideas off and to relate to. We were both in the same boat with it. But it makes sense now from you saying that, like being a one-man team. If you like love that process, which I'm not saying we don't, but at least we had another person to kind of like bounce off. But if you're like so into that process, it probably didn't matter to you that you were on your own because
I say that now, mate. It's fucking been hard work.
Maybe I'm simplifying it a bit too much.
I think again, everything's easy on reflection, innit? You realise, but when you're in it, mate, I've cried so many times over this bloody business. I've cried, and it's been so hard, and I've felt like packing it in, or there's been times where, you feel like, well, what on earth am I bloody doing this for? Or would it be easy if I just got I've got a decent career, I'd earn a half decent wage, and I could get an half decent. What if I just did this? And I think that's what's just kept me going. Where some people will, there's a quote, something like most men live lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah.
And that was me at that time. I thought. And another thing is, apparently you should ask yourself, your manager or whatever, that's where do you want to be them in 10 years? Is that where you want to go? And if the answer is no, you need to do something else. And I did not see myself doing conference call after conference call. And I think that's what got me through it. Just sheer grit of I don't want to do this. This is not what I want to do. And then you find a way.
I mean, we should probably say that probably suits some people. Running a business might not be for everyone. Some people might love that. You go to work at 9 o'clock, you come home at 5 o'clock and you switch off. But I think you're right in that if you feel like you're not like me, I don't like not sort of having some control over stuff. Like recently when things have been getting away from me a bit, that's when I've had like my down days with this business, even though it's great because it's all growth and stuff. But if you feel like you're in the passenger seat of your own life and someone else is driving, for me, that's like a big that scares me, and that's exactly the same as what you were saying. Like being in that role and just doing stuff that you don't care about and being in internal meetings and stuff like that. That used to be. It became like a nightmare for me. I didn't like it at all.
I think entrepreneurs that are doing full-time jobs, it's just absolute hell, and that's where when you're in that role, the opposite of going for it in business and running your own business is just unbearable. So you've got to go for it, and it gives you that motivation to keep going.
Although on the flip side of that, what I would say is I wouldn't have been able to do what I've done without that experience of that job as well. So it's both sides of the coin, isn't it? Because I had to do that to get to where I am, but at the same time, like at first, I did enjoy it and stuff like that when it was new and fresh, but after a couple of years, you did start to get that itch of like, what's next? What can I do that's more suited to me?
There's a guy called like Stephen Bartlett. I don't know if you watch his podcast. Really good. He's so smart. But he talks about knowing when to quit. And I think I didn't quit. Probably didn't quit at the right time. I should have quit earlier. But all of these things are part of the process. And you're right. We all needed them. We needed the jobs. We needed the money. You probably got so much money to start your, food circle with. You needed that at the right time. Yeah, but it's learning when is enough is enough, and being able to have that, being able to have the balls to quit and jump, because it's the uncertainties where, you're actually going to find whether it works or not.
Yeah, the experience as well for me, like probably less relevant for you because you're working in a different industry, but we came out of our old jobs knowing what what to buy products at roughly, what to sell them at,
exactly,
how to get them in, how to get them out, all that sort of foundation of knowledge that you need.
Yeah.
We sort of got that from working, but I think, I don't know, if I look back, I probably stuck around at work for about the right amount of time, maybe a bit too long because I'd started to get fed up a bit.
No, I think if it probably was the right thing at the right time, for you guys, and you smashed it out of the park. But not everybody does. Our journeys are similar, but they're completely different at the same time as to how we've done it. Even how our businesses run, they're both online, but my model's different. It is different to yours, and how I've done it is slightly different. But everybody's got it. It's what's right for you, isn't it? And what that ultimately that's it.
Yeah, the 2 years working, I loved actually that company shop because
3 years.
Well, yeah,
2 years when 2 years that you probably felt enthused about it, and then a year probably when you wanted to move on to something else. Maybe is that right?
Exactly. You just learned so
Similar
much.
For me.
Yeah, and the experience, and we were so fortunate to have a brilliant gaffer who just gave us encouragement to learn, and all that sort of thing. But it just gets to a point where your learning curve expires, like we're talking. That's what happened to me. I just got like a natural urge to start a business, and I think what holds people back is we're talking about that fear of failure is what holds people back, and it's because they're worried about what other people think. Like they're worried, if I fail, or my friends and my family and people on Instagram are gonna judge me and they're gonna think I'm an idiot. I generally think that's one of the number one reasons that holds people back is worrying about what other people think. 100%.
Absolutely, and I think because particularly as like like young males, you've got you are insecure. You're still trying to understand yourself and realize, and part of that, doing that and how that's going to make you look in front of your peers and girlfriends or potential girlfriends and stuff is a big thing that people, and for same for women, but it's a big thing that people, some people, and again, you mentioned earlier, no, it's not for everybody starting a business, but it's bloody hard. I mean, to put, all this social pressure and where you should be and what you should be doing at this age, and so just bought the first house, and so, bloody hell, I went through all that.
Well, yeah, it's a big part of it. Like, we've had to live at our parents while we've been doing, starting this up, and we're only just getting to that stage now where we've got the means to start to look at, moving out and stuff like that. Because, I'm younger than Paul. You would have probably done it a few years ago if you'd have taken that normal conventional path, and so would I. But again, it's like, if people, if your peers are moving out and getting their own house and stuff like that, and you're not, you can feel like you're sort of getting left behind. But that's the sacrifice that you have to deal with. And to be honest, I wouldn't change that at all.
No, you've got to not give a shit what anybody thinks. Absolutely. Because when you leave your job and you're still living at home, you're living at home with your parents and you're basically unemployed and you've got an idea. And when all your mates and stuff are getting houses and having kids and stuff, you've got to be tough mentally to deal with
hard.
Yeah.
Really hard.
And we touched on it. I don't think many people talk about the mental health side of starting a business.
Yeah, this is so important. I want to talk to Tom about this as well.
How do you deal with that, mate?
I've had a fair amount of problems with my own mental health, with like anxiety. I've dealt with it. I think he's finding. I've stopped drinking because I think from my time at university, I've always found comfort in having a good blowout and a good party.
Yeah.
And I used to use that as like a comfort blanket on a weekend, but I realised that I can't do it. I can't go out on a Friday or a Saturday and absolutely have it, and then be dealing with some the problems that come up in your business on a Monday because you've got no sleep, you're dehydrated. So I think I've tried my best now to cut like that sort of stuff out of my life. And a big thing I've done, it's all cliche bullshit, but I do a lot of meditation in the morning, which was actually, I started it because it was prescribed for ADHD as a good thing to help manage that. But I do like a fair amount of meditation and try and get out and, you know, and do as much exercise as I can. Because that is one of, you know, mental health, I think, is it suicide is the biggest killer of men between 25 and 50, which is horrible. And particularly running a bloody business where, like I said, it's, you know, it's uncertain all the time, and you're dealing with shit every day. It's but you know, I'm trying to treat myself. I'm nowhere near an athlete, but you know, it's like one of my goals is to, you know, to live like an athlete, you know, to be as fit as an athlete, cheesy as it is. But by doing so, you know, it puts you in a much better frame of mind.
Absolutely.
To deal with what's, you know, with running a business that's growing quite quickly, you know.
Exercise is so fucking important. It's unbelievable. Because when we started the business, I wasn't at the gym to save money. I felt like absolute shit that first 6 months. Then starting in the gym and I can't even put into words how much it helps, exercise.
Yeah.
Like, I have to go. I do like a long run every weekend, and it just clears your mind. It really does. It's amazing. Going to the gym, lifting weights, putting yourself through agony. It takes your mind off the business.
Well, you know what I used to get that feel after a big night out. You get that. I used to get that like you know, like but you can actually get a lot of realize, and actually in lockdown more so, I realize I can get that from just absolutely caning myself at some sort of exercise, whether that's like out on a bike or running or lifting weights. But you still get that release and that relax, but you're not knackering yourself and you know, damaging yourself with loads of blooming, you know, beer or whatever else. And it does make a huge difference on your day-to-day, you know, well-being.
No, drinking's a good point as well. But I do enjoy it. Say if I go out with my mates when the pubs are open, I find that I'll do it on a Saturday night, not a Sunday, because I feel like shit on the Monday. I cannot work hungover or anything. So limiting alcohol is a really good point. But I enjoy that, going out with my mates, having a drink. I really enjoy it, and you do take your mind off it, don't you? I'm not checking my phone for sales and stuff. But the next morning you feel like shit. Well, you get over that.
See, that's another thing. I mean, well, I spend way too much time on my bloody phone. I need to cut that down. I don't know what you guys are like. Yeah, particularly with Shopify, you can see the sales coming in all the bloody time. Yeah, so I don't know how bad you are. I'm really bad. And I'll sit watching people adding stuff to cart. It's bad though, mate. It's so bad. Amy, my girlfriend, you know, it's awful. Well, because you can never be offline. Because your shop doesn't shut, which is fantastic. It's open on the weekend. It's open on an evening. But I can see, you know, 3 people have added to cart that they've not bought. Why?
It's starting the business is anxiety central, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, anxiety and mental health wise, like I still get it. I've had it this week. Like the beginning of this week, I were not at my best at all, and I knew it. And I apologized to Paul and these guys here because I said I'm not at my best this week, and I've managed to get over it. It's just because I had that overwhelm and stuff like that. But I don't know that I've nailed dealing with it, but I'm certainly a lot better than I used to be. And it's that resilience of like, you just have to keep going each day, like you said, and trying to look after yourself as best you can. That gets me back, resets me again. But I do have, like, I've got an Instagram page that I run for like customers and suppliers to look at and stuff like that, to share what's going on in our business. And I don't think I've been on it, or I didn't post anything, I don't think, for about a week, because I just didn't, you know, when you feel that kind of,
I get it, mate. Yeah.
When you feel that like low point, and you're like, I don't want to engage, I don't want to put myself out there, I don't feel like it.
I'm like really sociable, but I get like I can be that stressed. I don't want to respond to an email. I don't want to respond. I'm like, I can't deal with it. You know, I can't deal with this customer's email, and it'd be fine. But and that's it. But I think because we're at the early stages, none of us are taking enough time off. You know, you two don't, I don't, because it's hard. How do you take it off? But you're not doing, and we should be, you know, because actually it'll stop that burnout. I get it. You know, I did it the other week, exactly like you, mate. And I couldn't get off the sofa. You know, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't face anything, and it's because you're just working too hard. You know, you're not taking any time out to actually, you know, have a breather where all you're not doing is bloody food circle. You're doing something completely different.
I used to have that as well. Like this time last year, I think probably around then. I said to Paul, like on a Monday, it fills me with anxiety opening my emails to see what problems that customers have had over weekend and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and he said to me, do you want me to go through it on a Sunday night and let you know whether there's any problems or not? And I said, well, you can do, but that's not really helping because I'm not facing up to it. I'm just running away from it then.
Exactly.
So, dealing with it is partly facing it head on, but it's also like some of it is accepting the way you are, because if you have got past mental health problems or current mental health problems and you do have anxiety from time to time and stuff like that, that's part of who you are. It's not going to go away completely, right. But it's about how you deal with it that makes all the difference.
I mean, do you struggle with mental health at all, Paul? You don't seem like you would do.
You
seem to lay back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, definitely.
You do. Huh?
That's the problem, actually. Like you'll say to me sometimes, "Oh, you'll feel weird because I look dead chilled out." And
yeah,
it make you feel worse because like, am I a weirdo?
Well,
absolutely not.
It sometimes makes me think with you, like, is there something there that's just covering it, and it's that veil of like you got a big personality, you outgoing, you personable, all that stuff. Is that covering something up, or is it that you genuinely just like you're going through life, you're not that worried about stuff, you're pretty laid back?
Yeah.
I don't even know, and I've worked with you for donkey's years, like.
Definitely get anxiety 100% over business performance and little bits and bobs, 100%. But I just try and keep a perspective on life every day and be grateful for how lucky I am. And I'm not trying to sound like some sort of like woke Buddhist, yeah. But generally, it helps massively. Just our perspective every day. Like there's people in the world that do anything for being in even remotely this sort of position that we're in. It's just stuff like that really helps me, and just.
But I suppose compare it to your old life as well. What would you rather be doing? Would you rather be sat in an internal sales meeting, or would you rather be, you can't have a problem-free life, can you? But I suppose it's about swapping out your old problems for better ones. Yeah. And I'd rather have the problems that we've got now than.
Because basically, isn't it nice having problems that you actually care about? Whereas before, I probably really laid back at work, so I didn't care. I had no interest in it. I don't care if this customer don't like this product. It makes no difference to my life. Whereas now, you do. It really hurts me. I feel awful if somebody's not, disappointed with some sort of service from Paws Presto, because it's like part of me. Like it feels like that's me. Like,
exactly.
Probably the same for you lot. And it's bloody hard. You think, well, you want everybody to be happy, but ultimately they're not. They're not going to be. And you can't make everybody, and not every, you can't achieve that. No way.
It hurts me. I'm trying to get better at it, because you can't take everything personally, but it does, like, it undermines your own, like, because you think to yourself, I've got the best intentions here. I'm trying to provide something that people like. I'm trying to do something that people enjoy. And then if someone doesn't like it, you feel like they're kind of trying to undermine your integrity, kind of thing. But like you say before, I mean, I sort of did care about thinking about it. I did care about my job before, up to a point where it were about my own performance. I cared that I were sort of doing the best I could, because that's just the kind of person that I am. But you are right. You have got that kind of detachment from it, that if someone went into a company shop store and bought something and didn't like it, like that didn't matter.
It didn't bother me, exactly. Yeah. Whereas it does now.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does. It really matters.
I think for me, I generally love coming to it. I love the just because it's what I've always wanted to do. I love the feeling of building a business, even when it's going bad. But you still feel like shit if it's not going very well. But you've just got to deal with it and get on with it.
I don't get that like Sunday thing that you get when you're working for someone. I don't know what you're like on a Monday. Like on a Monday, because I have to get up early on a Monday, because I've got a bit of a journey in after a weekend. For like 10 minutes, I'm like negative, and I'm tired and I can't be bothered. But as soon as I have a shower and I'm up, like I'm all right again. And then my not confidence, but my own like personal. I mean, Thursday and Friday are like good days for me, because I feel like I've got into my stride by then. I kind of like I do want a weekend to come, but I kind of don't because I feel like I'm in my stride then. You know what I mean?
I'm like you. You're like me. I don't like Mondays and Tuesdays. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I could work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I could take Monday, Tuesday off. You know, if I were going to structure it my way, because we're quite busy. Weekends are busy. People are still shopping like they'd be shopping in Leeds City Centre or wherever.
Yeah.
But I could work on a weekend. It's busy, and I could take the other 2 days off. I've actually considered doing that once we get to a point, when we could, when I can afford to do so. Is actually, you've built these businesses to suit your life and your lifestyle. Well, is there ways that you can make that, ultimately, are there ways you can make that work for you at a certain point? Is something that I started asking that question of myself.
Yeah. I still enjoy weekends. I don't like this, you hear when you start a business, it's 24/7. Go hard Monday to Friday and enjoy your weekend. Do maybe a little bit of social media work and stuff, like light work, but you've got to enjoy your weekends.
I remember being in a meet, in one of those sessions in Rotherham, and I remember you saying you'd been to Portsmouth to see your girl, your missus, and you asked about pictures, and you don't use phones, do you? Or you didn't used to use phones. You don't have your phone on, or you don't take pictures. And I thought, and I've never forgot that, and it's something that we've not implemented, but I thought that's really good. You could see how that's quite a healthy habit, that you're going and you're actually having your weekend. I find it hard to switch off because I'm that obsessed with it. I can't, it's all I'm doing. But really, that's probably why I'm having burnout, because I don't ever have a full day off. I don't, even if I go and play golf in the morning, I've had to stop sometimes. I've had to start turn my phone off, so I'm not online for 4 hours, and I feel amazing after it. But normally, if not, it's always on. And I always want to have a look. Who's bought? If somebody bought anything, and it's not good. And I thought, I can remember you saying that. I thought, bloody hell, that's good. That.
I don't do that anymore. She will listen to this and she's going to go, he doesn't do that, because now that we're busy and we're a lot bigger, I'll do social media on the weekend. I'll schedule posts and I'll reply to comments and stuff. And I don't turn Shopify. Actually, I started turning Shopify notifications off on a weekend.
I've had to do that as well,
so I can enjoy my weekend.
Yeah,
but try and do that.
But the problem is, I've got them turned off, but I still look.
You can't help it. It's really you've got to be disciplined with it.
Well,
but then
it's social media likes. I think it must be the same through Shopify. It's like the equivalent, the dopamine of having cocaine.
Yeah.
The hit. Well, you've got it coming all the time with that, and it's like, you're getting that like self gratification that people are like Paws Presto, and they're buying that things. But ultimately, it's just knackering your brain. Your brain, because all you're doing is looking at it all the time. Yeah. And people buy it.
You have a day of bad sales. Yeah, if you have a day of bad sales, you're thinking, well, I've got a freaking house here, and it all gets.
Yesterday morning, I was coming to well, we were supposed to do that. I thought we were doing it face to face, didn't I? We weren't. So
they had to send you away. So you didn't give us a virus or anything.
Yeah. But yesterday morning was quiet on Paws Presto, and I'm coming there and I'm thinking, fuck's it, what's wrong? Is my cart working? Is PayPal down? Is there something wrong with the Facebook algorithm? All these things, blah blah blah. Because I'm looking and you think you need that break, because otherwise, like I said, sometimes I let the sales on my website control my emotions, and I shouldn't.
Yeah, that's good. Interesting that you say why are sales down, because that does happen, and you'll have a bad couple of days. But it's about knowing why, and then that's where I'll check our Facebook ads, see if we're advertising something that's sold out. One ad's just not doing well. I think that is helpful to be on top of it in the week, definitely. But yeah, we actually had a really good piece of advice. I'm gonna mention Andy Needham at Approved Food. We had a meeting. Approved Food's an e-commerce business selling food and drink. It's quite successful, a few £1 million turnover. And we had a meeting with him, and we were talking about exactly this. And Andy's really experienced. And he said, yeah, that's normal. Like, your business is going to have up and down days, and it does get to you, but it's normal. You know what I mean?
Well, he said it's about your average as well.
Yeah.
Like, if it's all even itself out, like we were discussing this off mic, off camera yesterday. for us, like when we do a big launch, it's almost like we're becoming almost like we're a bit of like a seasonal business where you have this big spike that kind of makes up for them days where you're just ticking along.
Yeah.
And it's about, for us, it's about knowing that those customers have not gone away. They don't not care about us anymore. It's just they're waiting for like the next thing or whatever it might be.
That's I got a similar advice from a friend. He said, well, you should average over 7 days, you average over a month, you need to be looking at. But when you think about it, it's my own insecurity with it. What's wrong? Why aren't people? You're scared of it all. What if people just don't want it anymore?
Like Paul says, though, that keeps you proactive to an extent. Though it keeps you looking at it and thinking, well, what do I need to do with my ads? What do I? Is there something broke? Is something down? But I can't remember what I was going to say.
Well, we've had a really good 55 minutes there, mate. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, I just said a weird noise. Just put me off. So what?
In terms of what revenue, or just in terms of what's the plan?
We don't need to go into revenue, but what new products have we done this year? What's coming in the future? What's your plans for the brand?
Yeah, so in terms of the last, I guess, since September, we seem to have really hit a huge boom. So we currently are more or less doubling our sales each month, which is amazing. But with that comes the obstacles of fulfilling all that inventory, keeping all that stuff in stock to be able to keep that growth going. I guess where we see ourselves going in the next 6 to 12 months is I usually use you guys as a bit of like a target, so I'm always chasing food circle at the moment. So
Won't do that.
You guys are probably just in front of me, which is good, though. It's good to have something to chase. So we've got I don't know what I'm saying. We've got I don't know what I'm saying, mate.
All right, we can cut that bit. Go on, have a think about it.
You have to cut a few bits out, I'm guessing.
So new products and stuff next year, or you?
Yeah. So in terms of next year, we've got a few new products that'll be coming out, and we're looking at getting into the US. So we're going to start trialing some stuff over there. Initially, going to from here, and then if that's successful, looking at moving stuff over there. So I guess where we see ourselves in the next 2 to 3 years, big ask, but would like to be like a competitor to your likes of Pets at Home.
Yeah.
But just for dogs at the moment, that's a bit of a pipe dream, but why the hell not?
Absolutely.
And I guess just establish ourselves as one of the well-known pet brands in the UK is a goal, and we're also interested in looking at some wholesale stuff. So we've not done anything really, but it'd be cool to be able to get our products in likes of I could see it being in John Lewis. That's my own take. Whether they'd take it or not, none of the buyers will accept me on LinkedIn anyway, so that maybe answers that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think looking at the US and establishing maybe some wholesale channels whilst also continuing to grow the UK. We've got some other products. Not like giving them away until we launch them, but we will have about probably 3 to 5 new products again next year.
Yeah, it's just a quick one because I know we've gone over an hour now probably, but what's your innovation like with new products? Is that trends in the industry? Is it your own ideas? Is it people suggesting what they want to you? Where do your ideas come from?
So it's a combination of all of those. So there's ideas in my head, there's feedback from customers, and there's trends in the market. And then basically we use all of those to then formulate, new products and then we usually start with like a small testing phase, or we'll start with small inventory, test that it works, and then scale, like ramp that up.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of all three. I think when we were starting off, it was harder to innovate because you've not got any money. But like now, and the manufacturing facilities that we've got people that are actually working on, how do we make these things even better? Which has taken some time to get to, but yeah. So I guess that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you were saying Pets at Home, I think of them as just they're a retailer. They're just stocking what they're like any retailer. They're just stocking what people might want at that moment. But your difference is you're innovating. You're trying to think what problem can I solve next, and what will solve that problem.
Ultimately the dream's always been that when somebody wants a product for the dog, they want to turn around and think, well, bloody hell, it were hard seeing our Rover tonight, when we were out, it's a bit dangerous. I better go and look on Paws Presto. They'll have something to help see him in the dark.
Yeah.
That's the goal, is to eventually just have, solutions for dogs. I mean, and then who knows, other animals,
Yeah. So it's almost like it's almost like if you want something for your house, you just think Argos or whatever, don't you? You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing.
Exactly. That's the dream. Is to get to that point. Why the hell not?
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Yeah. Any business needs to solve problems, and yours definitely does.
Yeah. Do you want to give it a plug, mate? So give your socials and your website a plug.
Yeah. So if you want any problem-solving pet products for your dog, it's www.pawsandpresto.com. We're also on Instagram at paws_presto, and you'll be able to find us on Facebook if you search Paws Presto.
Amazing.
You're a legend. Thank you very much, Tom. Keep up your hard work. Keep putting positivity out there, and I'm sure I'll be back on the podcast when more people actually listen to us.
No, it's been a brilliant chat, mate, and I appreciate your honesty and opening up about some of them things. Because I think it's been great for me to listen to that. It's really helped me, and I think it'll help other people as well. So thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Nice one, mate. Cheers.
I'll catch up soon.